Hello, and welcome to MikeyPod Podcast 359 for January 19th, 2026. Today's guest is Leila Kartforosh, and we will be talking about her journey from microbiologist to financial coach and content creator. I'm your host, Michael Herron. I'm a composer, pianist, electronic musician, and storyteller based in New York City. On this podcast, I have conversations with fellow creators about their work, their process, and why they do the things that they do. I've been making this podcast for over 2 decades now. If you want to stay connected, you can subscribe in your favorite podcast app by searching MikeyPod. You can visit MikeyPod.com or send me an email, michael@MikeyPod.com. I really do love to hear from you. So did I already say @Michael Herron on social? Okay, here we are. This is also the beginning of the video podcast era of MikeyPod. I've been doing it for a long time. This feels very unusual. I did it last week. I put up a video podcast last week, and I made 2 separate versions of it. But I finally realized, why am I doing that? So this is mostly the same version. Sometimes there will be, if there's music in the episode, I probably will only put the music in the audio version. But for this moment in time, I think we're going to be having the same thing. So if you're listening to this audio and you want to see video, you can go to the YouTube link in the show notes. And if you're watching the video and you'd rather have audio, you can go and listen at MikeyPod.com or any podcast app. That's it. My wrist is broken, which might surprise you since I'm not wearing a brace or anything. I think I mentioned it in the last show. It's healing. It's fractured. They're 2 fractured bones. And I do wear a brace a lot of the time. It's getting better. I couldn't remember if I mentioned it, but there you have it. The other thing that we're going to talk about real quick is my work in progress reading of my new project, the Luminiveria Project. Will be at Judson Memorial Church next month, February 17th, at Judson Memorial Church. I think I just said that. It feels very unusual doing this as a video right now, so please forgive me. And that work in progress is a work in progress, very much so. I schedule these things when I'm working on something new to force myself out of procrastination. So full disclosure, I still haven't forced myself out of procrastination on this one. So, So I don't know. There will be material. I know that I'll start writing, but it's just for some reason I need to be in panic for that to happen. So that's it. Before we do get to the interview, one last thing. I want to thank my Patreon subscribers who power this podcast. These are people who subscribe for $5 or more a month and get access to free downloads of my music, digital zines, bonus podcasts. I think there are nearly 100 bonus podcast episodes, which are now, as of last episode, video as well. And this week's bonus episode will be with Leila, and we're going to be talking about books, which is a recent rediscovery for me and a long time one for her. So we talk about our favorite books, reading, and there you go. Anyway, let's get to the interview. Thanks so much for joining me, and thank you for joining me, Leila. Who are we going to see right now? Welcome to the podcast, Leila Kartforosh. She is a YouTuber, finance coach, my finance coach, and you've run your own business. I'm super excited to talk about all of these things and more with you today. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, me too. I miss our podcast, honestly.
We did a podcast together.
Yeah.
I miss it too. Maybe we can bring it back. I really want to talk to you about the transition, because since I've known you, you had a full-time job and were a content creator, and now you're a content creator running your own business as a finance coach. So what's that? This is a broad question. What was that timeline like?
So I've always wanted to be self-employed. And so I wanted to make that happen one way or another. Initially, I wanted to be a blogger. I really liked writing. I'm not as much into writing now, unfortunately. I wish I was, but that's what I wanted to do. And that was kind of the thing years ago, And so I was learning all of that. And this was while I was in college. So I knew I was majoring in biology, knowing I didn't want to do anything with biology, but it was all just I felt like I had to do it. So I still followed my career, became a microbiologist. I always had side hustles though. It was always YouTube, the lifestyle content. I was trying to sell like jewelry or sell something on Etsy, like digital products. I tried like flipping products for some time. I just tried everything under the sun, really. And then I got really into finances because I was struggling financially, and I was like, you know what, let me document this, my debt-free journey. And that worked out really well. Niching down was really the key for me, niching down to one topic. And finance does well on the internet, especially if you're talking about yourself. I mean, it's been slow growth for me, but it did much better than anything else I was doing. So yeah, and then I transitioned from microbiology into tech, became a consultant, Salesforce consultant, and that helped everything even more, like just continuing to document the journey. That increased my income, not only from the job, but because I was talking about it. And then, yeah, paying off my debt, documenting everything. And ultimately, once I paid off my debt, I felt comfortable with quitting after saving for some time, and I quit sooner than I expected to, but I think it was the right choice. Like looking back, sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I stuck it out for another year, but I know mentally I wouldn't have been able to handle that too well. So I'm glad I left my job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are like two questions about that I think are super interesting. One is when you realized that you could do that, like that your work creating content and your coaching and all that kind of stuff was at a point where you're like, oh, I can really put some energy into this and make this work. What was that like? Was there a moment of that, or was it just like a gradual realization?
I think for some time I was feeling that, but I'm not somebody who does take risks, I feel. I've said that before on my channel, and somebody's like, you do though. Like, you are taking risks. You talk about all your numbers on the internet. I guess I didn't think about it like that. But for me, I feel like I've always followed a traditional path. Like, go to school. I did really good in high school. I did really good in college. Like, that was always important to me because that's just who I kind of am as a person, but I was like, all right, if I do good in school, I'll get a good job, blah, blah, blah. And I've always been pretty hardworking, even if I didn't enjoy the job. And so for me, leaving was just risky, but I felt in the back of my mind that I probably could have left sooner and made it work. There probably would have been some rough months, but my realization that I wanted to leave for sure was when I took a week off of work. It was just, I didn't go anywhere. It was just staying home. And my boyfriend at the time, fiance now, he had said like, oh, it's kind of nice with you not working. I get to spend time with you, because I was just constantly working. My 9 to 5, and then having client calls, editing. Like, I wasn't spending much time with him. And that really struck a chord with me, and I just felt so much better having that week off to just decompress. And I looked at the numbers, and I made sure with him too, like, are you comfortable with me quitting my job? That was important to me. And he said yes. So I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to leave. And a few weeks later, I put in my notice. So yeah, looking at the numbers, I was like, oh, I could make this work. And like, worst case scenario is I don't know if you ever have done that. Like, worst case scenario for me wouldn't be that bad. Like, I'm grateful to say I have my fiance, but also family to fall back on if absolutely necessary. And I could always go back and get another job. So for me, my worst case scenario was the situation I was already in, like just working a 9 to 5 job. So like going back to work. So
Yeah,
it made sense to leave for me.
that's like I feel like that's one of the things that's interesting about how we approach things differently. Because I think when I decided to do music and all that kind of stuff, I sort of was like, oh, well, I guess I'm just going to be a mess with finances now. Yeah. I didn't even bother to try to make it work. So it's interesting, like, hearing your perspective as someone who was on top of things. Yeah, by the time you decided to do this, your finances were like in order. And then making a decision. I think that's the question. Like, what was that like to make, as someone who put so much work into getting your finances lined up, to make this decision that a lot of people would be like, that's not smart. Like, don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
what was it like to get to that point?
I still So I struggled initially when leaving my job because I went from so I left my job early 2024, and at that point I was making so much money that life just felt easy for me anyway. It was well over six figures, and that was short-lived, but between my full-time job and my side hustle, like my content and all of that, I was making, I think my highest month was like 13,000 or $14,000, and I'm like, "Whoa, life is easy. I'm putting like 6K into savings. That's insane, like in 1 month." And because I'm kind of somebody, I do pay attention to my finances and I'm not like spending crazy, that felt like a significant amount of money. So dropping down to way less money was intimidating. And I don't think I'm answering the question. But I think for me, my mental health at that point was more important than the money. And sometimes I didn't feel that way. After leaving my job, I was like, I should have stayed, or I did start applying for other jobs. Like I was looking at, yeah, openings and thinking about going to work at least part-time or something, because that fear and that just that feeling of having less money was very uncomfortable to me,
Mm-hmm.
because when I had the money, I felt very comfortable. And I kinda lost the sense of myself because I I guess I attached myself to that of like, "Oh, I can easily invest, I can easily save." So I but initially, I was trying to get it back, but even still, I would say over, it's been almost 2 years since I left my job. I would say I struggle with that because I guess I'm more optimistic too, in a way that it can hinder me, as in, like, I can make six figures by being self-employed, and I haven't hit that yet, so it gets kind of discouraging, and if I were to make six figures, I can easily hit these goals that I'm setting. But I also have to remind myself the whole point of leaving my full-time job was to live a slower life and a life that I actually enjoyed, and that's what I'm truly living. So, like, if I can invest here and there, it's fine, but I have to constantly remind myself of that. I don't know if I answered your question, but that was the thought process after the fact anyway.
Yeah, I think that does answer the question. I love that I'm like, whatever the question was, I don't remember what I asked you. But that was it. I think is whenever we talk about these kind of things, it becomes really interesting to me that we're kind of like coming from opposite directions to like a same goal. Like
Mhm.
trying to, I'm coming from a place where I just completely ignored my finances and was focused on just like, oh, I'm doing art, like
Mhm.
I'm doing music, all this kind of stuff. And then I realized, as we've discussed, like, oh my God, I I have to look at money. Like I can't just ignore this anymore. Um, and you're kind of coming from a different perspective of having like 9 to 5 benefits, all that kind of stuff, and letting go of that to create like the life that fits better for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's now that I'm so far removed from it, it doesn't even feel like part of my life that I was working those jobs, and I don't think I could ever go back. I mean, it would have to be a lot of money to bring me back. There are times when I'll get like a migraine, or I just feel tired in that day, and usually I force myself through things. Like, obviously, if I have client calls, I'm not going to cancel them or anything. Or if, yeah, something's super important, I'm not going to cancel it. But I don't have to film a video if I don't feel well. And I think back to the times when I didn't feel well while working 9 to 5, and it's just like you have to push through it, or dealing with like annoying coworkers. And I didn't ever have bad managers or anything, but I see like my fiance dealing with that and having to request PTO off. Like, you don't have control of your time, and I am just completely unwilling to go back to that unless it was like it's got to be a lot of money to bring me
Yeah.
back. And it would be temporary, like, oh, a year, and then yeah, but I'm
Out.
I'm not even applying or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that's exciting about, because I've always pretty much in my adult life been self-employed, but I can't remember what my sister and I were talking about, but I had a moment of like, I wouldn't have any idea how to like deal with that. It's like, I feel like it's something I missed out on, maybe like a
Mhm.
skill I didn't develop, of being able to work with a team of people and having a boss and like managing that type of dynamic. It sounds really hard.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like that was the goal you started with when you started talking about finance on YouTube. I mean, did you imagine a time when you would get when you'd be able to stop your full-time job?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That was
cool.
the goal. I always wanted to be self-employed. It just always felt so out of reach for me because again, my journey has been really slow. At the beginning, even before personal finance with Layla, I was making like an extra 100 to 200 online. Like it was so hard for me. And I would see all these people posting like, "Oh, make $10,000 in a month." And it would piss me off. It still does. I still see that because I still don't make that much money online despite how long I've been doing this. But it's enough to live. But yeah, from the beginning, I've always wanted to turn it. I knew I wanted to monetize it. I was okay with doing it for even now. I don't make that much money just from YouTube, for example. Like I'm making about 2,000 per month, but that's me posting 3 videos a week. So if you calculate it out, I'm not making that much money. So I do have a true passion for this and I would continue doing it even if I was making less. I don't want that to happen, but I got monetized fairly quickly and it just wasn't that much money though. It was very slow. So yeah, I always knew I wanted to quit my job. It was just a matter of getting
Like
to the point of making enough money.
that kind of like folds into something I was going to ask you about, because one of the things I like about your channel, especially in the like finance world on YouTube, is that you're very genuine and honest in your videos, and you don't do a lot of clickbait. I don't think you do any clickbait. Like,
No, I try not to.
yeah. So, I mean, in the world of YouTube, that goes against what the YouTube teachings are,
Mhm.
to like get people to click and make these, Does that ever feel like a conflict to you to stick to how you feel and like what your genuine approach?
Yeah, because a lot of times my fiance will say like, "Oh, you need to be the Gucci of finance, not the Walmart or whatever." So I should raise my prices really high, and that's just one thing. But with videos, yes, I've worked with even on like LinkedIn and stuff. I've had a LinkedIn coach and he was teaching me how to do sales. I did sales for some time, like not cold calls, but discovery calls with potential clients. I still do those, but the sales pitches that he taught me, I don't do that. I don't like the like I didn't enjoy it. So for me, I really want to enjoy my business even if that means sacrificing money. So anytime I've been taught about you need to have a hook in your video, which I still incorporate that, but I feel that I do it that's still true to me. I do it in a way that's still true to me because otherwise it just doesn't come natural and it would definitely come off that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just have a hard time doing the correct thing with videos, with sales, clients, all of that. But I appreciate that people appreciate me being this way. And if that means I'm going to grow slower, then so be it. Like, I'd rather, like, I want people to interact with me and be like, oh, you're just like you are in your videos. Like, chill. I'm not any, if I don't have to pretend to be something else. And I really appreciate being that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot like finance people I followed before when it takes like maybe 2 or 3 clickbait thumbnails that
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, I'm not like, I don't, to me, I'm like, I don't trust you now because you keep saying this video is going to be about something that it isn't about. So I'm annoyed because you just waste my time.
Yeah.
And now, like, what else are you? Is lying too hard of a word for that? I mean, I guess it's a lie. I mean, I get why people do it, but it makes me have less trust in the person. So now that you've been full time for how long? How long has it been since you quit your full time job?
I left in May 2024, so it'll be 2 years in May.
Oh, wow. Time goes by so fast.
So fast. Yeah.
Yeah. What about your relationship with money since then? Like we talked about it a little, I think, but Has it changed a lot?
Yeah. So it hasn't changed a lot. It's just that, as I was talking about before, not making as much money, I some of the financial stress that I didn't ever feel before for like years did come back. And there's months I go through ebbs and flows with financial stress. And I know that sounds like I see other people's situations, and even yours. And I know I'm in a good place, and I don't it's unnecessary stress, but for me this has just been always something that's really really important to me, and I want to be able to max out my Roth IRA with no struggle and things like I just don't ever want to feel financial stress. The reason I started all of this was because of that. And so I get into my head about things, and if I'm not making X amount of money, or if I'm not able to do something that I said I wanted to do, like invest a certain amount or save a certain amount, then that will get me down for some time. And I've had periods where it's gotten pretty dark for me, like I'll just be crying a lot or really stressed about money. And it's silly, it's just in my head. I know that, but I'm not I'm not immune to it for sure. Like it comes back. So I'm trying to work on that, and as I mentioned before, just focus on living life and doing what I actually enjoy, because that's the whole reason for this. And if it means less money, I was willing to do that. That's what I said. Like, I'm quitting my job, even if that means I'm making less money. It doesn't matter. I'm living the life I want to live. I have to remind myself of that. So, yeah, I think I do still see money as like a very important thing, and I would prefer not to see it as that. Not for status or anything like that, just as like I have it, that means everything's okay. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting because for some reason, even as much as you and I have interacted, uh, hearing your experience with money, like getting so dark about it,
Mhm.
is surprising. And I think it's because I perceive myself as I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? Like as a mess, and a less of a mess with money than I used to be.
Mhm.
Um, but and I look at you, like I've watched your videos for a long time, like, oh, she's like, look at like how she's getting this stuff really well together at an early age, and especially in comparison to where I'm at. So it's really interesting to hear that you also have these moments of like, oh my God, this is not going good, and like
Yeah.
that kind of dark. It's so shitty because it's terrible to have that kind of hovering over us. Like,
Yeah, and I think it's just society, and I hate to say that because it should get better with time, and it does. It's just like, I guess it's kind of like the hedonic treadmill, where
I don't know what
you
that is.
know, so it's like if you reach one place, you get that new job and you feel so happy about it, right? And then you're on this treadmill of like, okay, now I want this job. This job isn't good enough, or something happened. It's just like that, and I'm definitely experiencing that with, because there's sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to edit, or I start thinking these negative things, and I'm like, this is what I wanted. And same with money. I'm not I'm not poor, I'm not financially, like, in turmoil or anything like that. Everything's fine, but it's in my head because I don't know if it's just America or, like, because I see other people. I do compare myself to other creators, honestly, that's been a big problem for me, and so I'll see that and like, "Oh, how are they making 45,000 in the month, and I've never even touched that?" Um so I think it's just my environment, and then my how my mind works. And this is definitely a me problem, but at least for me, it it just becomes the next thing. And I don't love that. But that's, again, I don't know if it's just a me problem or American problem, but it
Yeah,
doesn't go away. And I hate to say that, but it hasn't gone away for me. Not completely, obviously.
that's what like is it the hedonic treadmill? Is that what you
Hedonic
call it?
treadmill. Yeah.
I've never heard that. I can't wait to like maybe that'll be our topic for the Patreon episode.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I want to ask about it because it's like I experience that too, and I feel like I get to these places where I just like I feel like it's a important decision when I hit one of those places of like where the thing that I really wanted has happened and it becomes unimportant because
Mm-hmm.
now I need the next thing. And like I can either get super discouraged by that and be like, go lay in bed, or be like, okay, so let's do the next thing, or let's do the act of remembering that this is what I wanted. Like you said that a couple of times today.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I feel like that's such a uh, surreal isn't the right word. Like I didn't quite get to the point I want to get to that because it's something I hadn't really thought about exactly.
And I think this is just I don't know, maybe people watching can chime in too, but when I even see bigger creators or just bigger status people, they're always doing the next big thing. And it's like, how much is enough? And we're talking financially. Like, I was watching something on Mr. Beast, for example. I really like Mr. Beast. He's very humble. But he was being interviewed and he makes so much money, obviously he has a lot of it. He pays for teams and this, that, and the other. So not all of it is his money, but he's just trying to do like bigger and better and make more money. And it's like, if I was making 150K, would that eventually feel like not enough? And that's crazy to think about because I'm like, that would be more than enough for me. Would I be happy at that point? Would I be content with that and stop feeling these things, or would it just continue because then I'm like, oh, but I could do this with 300K. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Yeah.
yeah. I think the possibility of what's out there is what we fall trap. Like it's a trap, and yeah, I don't know how to get out of that mindset.
Yeah. I mean, I think of it as, and this is me still just riffing, so I may be like bullshitting at this point, but I feel like, and I think about that too, like Mr. Beast or like, why can't I think of the Tesla guy? What's his?
Elon,
Yeah, Elon
Elon
Musk.
Musk.
Like these people who are so rich, like so beyond rich, and still trying to get more money. Is that like? I mean, is that an example of the hedonic treadmill gone awry? Like they're still like, I need more, 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 more.
I think some people, for Elon, for example, I think he really just enjoys doing those things. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a huge fan of Elon, but
Yeah, I'm not
from the
either.
way his brain works, I would imagine he's just like bored and wants to do the next thing. Same with Mr. Beast, maybe, but there's a lot of there's tons of people out there who are like, you make enough money, like what more?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know, because I just think about what I would do with that amount of money, but then I'm like, oh, I've never been in that, so maybe I would be like them and just want to keep going.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess what if I think about it from like a us perspective and not looking at like trillionaires.
Hmm.
Is he a trillionaire yet? He's close, right?
Elon, I think he
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
yeah. What like in our own world, and I think something that I think you might do with your channel and just your work in general is this feeling of you could do things to get more views on YouTube, but you make the choice to be genuine and sincere with your values.
True. Hmm.
Um, I mean, I think that's part of maybe that's the thing we have in common as we're having our sort of like I think of it as us aiming for a common thing from different directions that like trying to find like wanting more like from a financial money perspective, but also wanting to be content and like choosing to like make choices for that as well. I mean, I think I don't know. I don't know what my takeaway here is.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, like choosing to be content. Because if you go to other countries, like Colombia, for example, they're not making much money, and they're so happy. They're so friendly. They have community around them, and I really admire that. But that's why I'm saying I think it might be an American thing, or certain developed countries where we're like busy, 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 go, go, go. and going after the next thing because this is how it is. And if you're not, then you can't survive here, or you're really going to
Yeah.
struggle. And I really admire the people. Sometimes I'll watch videos of like those minimalists, or they're like on a farm and making 30K and like, oh, I have everything I need. I'd love that. Like if I could, I would love some of that energy.
Yeah.
And I try, and it's not that I want more things per se. It's just, I would love to, I just don't want to think about money. In order for that to happen, you have to make a lot of money. And I want to be able to buy a house, no problem. That's like so out of reach for me. And that annoys me, Like I want to make enough money to go and buy a house, but
Yeah.
it just annoys me that I can't do that.
Yeah. And it's a thing that I find annoying too, because like in my inner self, I guess, I don't know what to call it. Like, I don't really care about having a lot of money. Like which I think is kind of apparent because I don't. But like, I sort of resent having to worry about it sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, because that's not a thing. And I think it's, part of what my challenge has been in my adult life of not caring about money and then realizing like, well, whether you care about it or not, you have to have it. Like you have to work this out. So I guess that sounds sort of like around what you were sort of saying too. Like you want a house, you want a safe place to live. And that requires thinking a lot about money.
Yeah. And even just like with health issues that I've had, that really like triggers me for whatever reason. I mean, I know why it triggers me, but I just start to get into my head of like, oh, if I had money, I could. There's been a lot of issues with my insurance and medication changes. My medication's really expensive. And I'm like, if I just had $5,000, I could just buy it. If I easily could buy that, I wouldn't worry about this and I would just pay for it. Or same with, I suffer from migraines. And for some time I was like, should I get a brain scan? Should I do this, that, and the other? But I don't go to a neurologist because that's going to be a copay. That's going to be who else, what other bills they're going to charge. Are they even going to do an MRI? Because I don't have, they don't, I'm not rich. So I can't just be like, oh, give it to me. And,
Yeah.
like what are the monetary implications of that? So if I had money, I could just go and do that at my free will and,
Yeah.
things like that too.
The simple version of that is horrible. Like to think of, I'm not rich, so I can't take care of myself the way I need to. Like, why do we have to be rich to do that?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a whole like different, the whole system in America is messed up with that. But
yeah,
I definitely think those things because it comes up several times in the year or whatever.
All right. I hate to do it, but we should wrap up this part of our podcast.
Okay.
But not without mentioning that there's going to be a bonus podcast on Patreon where here's what I want to talk about. It came to me during our conversation. Books. You love books.
I do.
I just remembered that I love books over the last year. So I think that'll be a fun thing to talk about.
Okay.
Debtoverit.com is your main website.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the best way to speak of the name of your YouTube channel, because I always feel like I'm saying the wrong thing.
My channel, Personal Finance with Leila or Debt Over It, and either one, you'll find it.
I'll put links to all of this stuff in the show notes for the audio. There are 2 versions of this podcast now. So if you're listening to this, you can also watch it on YouTube. And if you're watching this, you could hear a longer episode on MikeyPod.com and in all the podcast directories, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to learn how to say that a little more smoothly as I continue doing 2 different videos. Thanks so much for joining me. Did I already say that links and show notes, all that kind of stuff, if you want more information? And that's it. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Sorry if went off on a tangent, I think, but
they were all the right kind of tangents.
Awesome. Thank you.